eyesight started fading him, and he used a peep sight. So he said, "This here peep sight ain't big enough for me." And said, "I think I'll get a wagon wheel."
First car that I remember seeing. That was even before the launch.
Yeah, he was a great man. Yep.
Yeah.
Did he tell you about his elk hunting stories? He didn't?
Well, go ahead, that's fine.
Well, we really weren't elk hunting, but I had him on a rock and was going to bring him one of the big mule deer bucks. I had a pretty good place to bring him one, and we hear these shots. Old Blue Millsap was with me, and well, I said, well, I suppose we got us a buck, because we'd run him some bucks, and we get around there, and he's shaking his head. He says, "Is there elk in this area?" I said, "Well, there might be. I've heard of some, but I haven't seen any." "I don't know." He said, "I might have shot an elk." This is a former judge, too, by the way. I said, "Well, what the hell did you do that for?" And there's people all around, hunters everywhere in that country. And, well, he said, "I see these deer coming, and this great big," he said, I thought it was an elk, and I thought it was a buck, and it kept getting farther away, and I thought, damn, I better kill that. That's a hell of a buck.
I had to go get my gun. And they went past me while I was getting my gun off my horse.
So I said, well, we'll find out. So we get on this trail, and we find some elk tracks, and we find some blood and some bone, and Blue and I, we've been known to track a thing or two, and I says, Blue, we're the only ones up there in 10,000 acres, hell, hunting horseback, and people all over, red hats, and I said, you know, Blue, I said, I don't think we want to find that son of a bitch an elk up here in buck season. And I said, tell you what, you go left and I'll go right, and we'll see you back at the trailer later. We just got the hell out of there. We never did find his elk, but it was damn sure was an elk.
And then they named the place Elk Pass.
We named it Elk Pass.
I had to go off my horse. I went up on this rock, and I seen them coming. There was a lot of mule deer, and there was one big set of horns, it was this big. And I thought could be an elk. If it hadn't come, and I went down and got my crippled in. And I got off that rock and went down and got my gun and got back up there, and they were quite a ways away. And I said, Andy, if you don't kill that, we ain't going to get nothing, and that could be a hell of a big old mule buck. And I shot. And when they come along, I says, go out there just so far and see if you see some blood and track it up. And they come back shaking their head. And we got the hell out of Dodge. That was a loser.
I never did get him actually kill an elk, but
no.
We tried hard. We tried for several years.
I crippled another one, never got it. Yeah,
never did find that one either.
No. Well, I've had many a trip with this old boy right here. You could tell him that story about the time we went to Soldier Base and stayed overnight.
Yeah.
We were the last people to stay in that cabin ever in Soldier Base, and his bud and I.
Yeah. Yeah, we run an old bear down there. We didn't catch it.
No.
It got dark, and we went in that old cabin, Gilman's cabin. The pack rat had built a big old nest, bigger than that pile of chairs on the bed. But the blanket was rolled up and tied with a bale wire to the ceiling, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and it's so frosty and cold. It was a cold winter. Every creek was froze. And we didn't unsaddle our horses because we afraid their backs would freeze on them.
We hobbled them down there with grain sacks.
Yeah, and we got a bucket of water and took in that cabin, had a fire going, and then it froze in the night inside the cabin. It was cold. And he had one of them snap brim plastic hats hanging on the wall, rain hats, green one. It fell off, and in the night one of them dogs urinated that plumb full. It was froze next morning. We just hung it on a nail and left it. I told Andy, I said, when that old boy puts that hat on, he's going to have a pretty good odor, you know.
You know, we were the last people that ever stayed overnight in that cabin.
Yeah.
That was the last time anybody ever. It's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had one old dog that somebody traded me, and he told me he's a bear dog, but he'd just see a black stump and get scared, you know. He didn't want nothing to do with that bear. He came back as soon as he caught up with it. And he's the only dog we had with us for a long time, because the other one was after the bear, but the other one started coming back about at night, you know. We pulled into that cabin, built a fire, and stayed there.
I'll tell you another bear story that happened to Bud and I down in that Boonville world. We went up in there hunting bobcats, and we had a big gun in the pickup, but we were just carrying 22 pistols. And we got after what we thought was a cat. We got stuck with a Jeep or a pickup, and we finally got it out, and the dogs was running in that country.
It's slick, wintertime.
Wintertime. So anyway, we wasn't in bear season, but they went down a mountain that we heard them going down, and there was dogs all going. One dog was staying behind, and by God, I went and got him. And that dog was never a bear dog, and that made me wonder why he wasn't running the varmint. And we got down there, and me and Bud got up to the tree. We parked the strig, and we got up to the tree.
We had to walk a mile or half a mile.
Half a mile, and got to the tree, and there's a big old bear up that tree. And so Bud says, I'll slip back to the rig, and I'll get the big gun.
I had an old 30-30 in the truck.
So, by God, when he was gone, why, surely it happened. Here come that old bear down the tree. And I shot at that bear with a pistol, right there with, well, half as far as from me to you. I was shooting that bear as he come out of that tree. And by God, you know, he took off, and all the dogs took off after him. And I take off too, because and I loaded my gun, and finally I found them dogs down in there, and by God, they were baying that bear, and he came right up by me. And I emptied the gun again into it, and my pistol, and he was just running right on by me, going fighting them dogs. And there was one dog hanging on that bear. He went right by me, and they turned around and they went back down the hill, and I went back in there and got above them, and they went down in there, and that old bear run into a fir tree, and I shot him some more, and he fell over right there. And there was one hound. I never had this happen before or since, but there was one hound that was one of my best dogs that I had there, and by God, he wasn't there, and I thought, well, he went down to a water right below there to get a drink, and I was waiting for Bud to come, and pretty quick, as a hell of a big old bear, and I thought, well, I better roll this bear over and gut him, and I rolled the bear over, and my hound was laying dead underneath the bear. And so that was the best hound I ever had. I mean, he was a tremendous dog, and by God, Bud finally came, because he figured where I was and hollered, and he kept coming.
Yeah, that went on down the canyon when I got back.
So anyway, we rolled that bear off down in that, what was the name of that creek?
Indian Creek.
Indian Creek, and we skinned the bear out. And the thing that happened there that's interesting to me, our knives were nothing will dull a knife quicker than skinning a bear. There's something about it that a bear will dull a knife. I reached down in that river rock, and I got a piece of rock, and I whetted that knife, and that thing would cut like a razor. And I never seen one yet since then that would do it. I give it to Bud, and we skinned that old bear out, and we quartered it, and hung it up there, and we went back, and the next day we went back in there horseback.
To pack it out.
Below then, and we got up in there, and there was some people in there in this creek. It was a real dry winter, and there was people in there making split stuff to sell on big companies' land. They were stealing the wood. But anyway, we went on. Bud knew them. I didn't. We went on by and went up there, and we cut that bear up and put it in pack bags, and the damn pack bags was wore out. And
they were rotten. They wore out.
We got back down to where them old boys were with the truck.
It was awful big bear, though.
And by God, yeah, I got pictures.
8 foot, it measured 8 foot 2 inches from its nose to its tail. That was
a
a big
big
bear.
bear. We got pictures of it. But anyway, we got down there and we talked them old boys into giving them 40, 50 pounds of bear meat to carrying our bear out for us. But you see, what we were doing was illegal because it wasn't bear season.
We told them, don't tell nobody where you got this bear meat or show it to anybody down there. They said, don't tell anybody we're up here making split stuff either.
They said, well, what we're doing is not quite legal either, he said. They were stealing that split stuff. And they had made good money out of it. But that's just another bear hunting story. I hunted lots of trips with him.
They didn't know that they were talking to loggers, right?
And I think I was the judge at the time.